r/datingoverthirty. Pretty candidate says, not 100% about a guy who asked me to be his GF. But I don't want to see other people. After 2 months of dating he asked me to be his GF, and I asked for 24 hours to give him an answer. He's wonderful, kind, we have amazing chemistry, emotional connection and same interests. I'm starting to develop feelings too. However, I'm terrified to become official. I was thinking to reply that I'd be happy with sexual exclusivity, deleting dating apps, not going on dates with others. Then reverse it in 2 months. This is because I feel I'm still getting to know him. I'm dating to marry and want to make sure I see him in more life scenarios and going on fun dates, dinners, etc. Anyone had similar experience? I don't want to hurt his feelings or lose him. 16 forward says, was in the same spot, got that question after 4 weeks. He was amazing and so compatible, mature, loving, and adored me. But from experience I know it can take months to find the catch, the shortcoming, the downside. But then I said to myself, well, I'm not marrying him. If in a few weeks I learn I'm not compatible with him, I could dump him. So what have I got to lose? Then I looked over at that sweet, adorable man just asking me to accept his love. And I realized how brave he was for that. And how vulnerable he was right then. Working up the bravery for that moment for days, and just dying to hear a yes. I said yes after thinking, being flustered, and blushing for about 20 seconds. 24 hours. You're torturing that poor guy. If I proposed like that to someone, and they asked for 24 hours, I think I'd just take that as a sign that we're not a good fit. You want someone to respond to you asking them to accept your love with glee, and excitement, and hope. Not skepticism, and doubt, and suspense and anxiety, and worrying about titles, and time periods, and relationship status labels. And with indifference to his vulnerability, his anxiety and fear of rejection, with him being completely, barely exposed and vulnerable to you, and having to part ways without an answer. With all that vulnerability left hanging out there for his anxiety and fear to feed on. Text the poor man an answer, and take time to acknowledge how he must be suffering right now. Usagi2 throwaway says, this is a beautiful reply. If you know you don't want to see other people, and you want to keep on getting to know him, what's stopping you? He's not asking you to marry him, you can break up, if later on you find something about him that is incompatible with you. But in the meanwhile let yourself be loved. Tongfatha says, as a man, can confirm. He hasn't slept. Write him and say something. Whatever it is. He's dying right now. USR Unquan says, girl, you're not committing to marriage or signing a some relationship lease that locks you in for a year. How is being official any different from agreeing to be exclusive? If exclusivity something you want, then it's being official. But this relationship could just be a high school length one if you decide to call it quits after a few months. Otherwise, if being exclusive isn't what you want, then say no and be upfront where you're at. If he's emotionally mature, he will understand. Scramcode 178,925 says, yes, there's literally no difference in being exclusive and being in a relationship. They're the same thing. One isn't harder to get out of than the other. Both require a conversation to end it. It's okay if you don't want to be exclusive, but just say what you want either way. The Genius One says, holy cow. I pray that this man finds his self-respect sometime in the next 24 hours, or he calls his guy friends and tell them this same story. This is the definition of bad settling. If you need 24 hours to weigh being somebody's girlfriend, you aren't into him like that. There is nothing wrong with that, Peresi. I just can't imagine Being so desperate that after 2 months of dating I'm sitting around for 24 hours while a person decides if I'm worthy to long. Didn't read. You're looking for a better deal. Just own it and be honest with him and yourself about it. r/datingoverthirty. Trala Cakes says, kindness vs niceness. I'm rereading Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish, which has nothing to do with dating. However, one of the paragraphs in it talks about kind people and nice people, and it made me think about dating and relationships. A kind person tells you that you have spinach in your teeth because they are willing to risk a bit of awkwardness/discomfort to help you improve. Weird example, but hear me out. A kind person doesn't want to make you uncomfortable, so they don't say anything, and ultimately you're walking around looking like a fool. Kind person has the courage and foresight to see the better outcome. Nice person was caught up in the discomfort of the moment, for both you and him/her, and was short-sighted about the situation. I'm thinking a kind person is ultimately other-centered, and that kindness is a gift. Niceness is self-centered and based in fear. That may be a gross overgeneralization, admittedly, but niceness has almost a manipulative flavor to it. What I'm wondering is if this is what's off-putting about nice guys/girls and perhaps what's so perplexing about why it's often unattractive. I don't think it's just semantics. I think there's a subtle difference between kind and nice that sometimes gets overlooked. Just curious what others think. Does this thinking make sense or resonate with you? Brutch says, look up No More Mr. Nice Guy from Robert Glover. Motorcycle Bob says, what is meant by nice is that a nice person is putting up a facade. The nice person is acting, putting on a mask to make themselves look nice. The act of being nice is then just that, an act. Nothing is actually given. It's a hey look at me. Consequently, you never know who a nice guy/girl actually is, because they are always in the act to appease you or gain something from you. This is what causes the unsettling feeling, because deep down you feel pressured to go along with the niceties, while not knowing absolutely anything about who this person is at their core. Roaming Gumba says, for me, the distinction is pretty simple. Nice is superficial, like when you pass someone in the hall and say in greeting, hi, how are you? Without really pausing to hear or absorb the answer. You've acknowledged them, and that's polite, but that's it. Kindness is deeper. It's seeing someone and stopping to say hi, how are you? And really engaging in what they have to say in response, listening and investing in the conversation and in them. Lol Dave 87 says, a nice person is basically a doormat. Ernest at 2024 says, a kind person doesn't want to make you uncomfortable, so they don't say anything, and ultimately you're walking around looking like a fool. Think this is a typo. You meant nice person here, right? Otherwise you're contradicting your own point. I completely agree. My ex was a nice girl. She wouldn't say uncomfortable things because she didn't want to sound mean or deal with the discomfort, even when directly asked. She'd just hint at it or expect you to read her mind to save her the discomfort of difficult communication. If you didn't guess right and didn't give her what she wanted, she'd eventually blow about it. She'd also engage in covered contracts. She'd do nice things for you because she expected you to do those things for her, but without asking. She just thought that by giving it, you'd feel indebted to do it back, and if you didn't, she'd feel resentful and get mad. TBH, it's a lot like nice guys giving out niceness tokens, expecting sex in return, and blowing up when they don't get it. When they never even asked her out. r/datingoverthirty. Butalater says, dating someone inexperienced. I 33 female, am dating a man 30 male, who seems to be very inexperienced with the physical side of a relationship. It took us 6 dates before we kissed for the first time, initiated by myself, and a couple more before we made out. He hasn't said anything about his experience other than he is pretty reserved and private / not into PDA. When we are alone he is very sweet and has his arms around me and is usually stroking my arms or hair or hands, but I can tell from the way he kisses and approaches me physically that he is overall not very experienced. My question here is, for men who are in a similar situation, how would you like the woman to move things forward? With the previous men I've been with, the physical stuff has been either initiated by them or mutually initiated and has usually happened very quickly. I'm totally fine to take things at his pace and give him the time he needs, but want to know how to bring it up without being pushy or breaking his boundaries. As a side note, on the actual emotional parts of the relationship he is also super wonderful. He is direct about his feelings, plans dates from start to finish, is funny and incredibly intelligent. Basically all in all a wonderful guy who I want to continue to see and explore if there is a future. Hot Cardiologist 6401 says, the physical part of a relationship makes me hella uncomfortable. I can't speak for him, but I think you're treading very respectfully and it's appreciated. I think I'd recommend voicing your questions out loud, though I realize this removes a lot of the spice, but once you've cleared up your unvoiced concerns it'll allow you to bring that spice back. Yumbros Tito says, I'm not inexperienced physically, but I'm inexperienced with early dating. Knowing when it's okay to initiate comes with that experience, but mostly with confidence. I've made the right call a few times now and feel much better about it, but the first couple of times after leaving my long term were super tough decisions. I did initiate, but it took a couple of dates. Just respond with compliments whenever he does, and it'll turn around quick. Docwing03 says, is the problem just that he isn't initiating, or that when he is, you don't enjoy it because he isn't confident yet? If it's just getting things going, the easiest option is for you to initiate more. This doesn't have to mean you jumping on top of him like a college kid on a mechanical bull. But go in for the kiss, turn it into makeout, put your arms around him, casual touches, etc. I also find it incredibly hot when my partner takes my hands and puts them on her hips or wherever she wants them. If you really want him to initiate, there's no one right answer. It depends on the two of you. It's probably too early for you to know how he responds to feedback or you stating your needs. But you could just ask, hey, I'm attracted to you. I just wanted to know if there's any particular reason why you aren't trying to get more physical with me. I had a girl in college once say to me, why are you being so gentle? She was a freshman and I was a junior, was why. Didn't know how experienced she was and didn't want to push her. That did the trick. Sorksan says, he is showing respect to you. Deep Stuff 81 says, just tell him yeah, I'd like more with him in every way. See what happens. He's inexperienced and shy, and that's okay with you, so it's okay. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.